Yeah, so what did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin went after its weekly level, right? We had something purple there. Why did we have a purple one there? I remember we marked this. I thought I used purple for, oh, that's monthly, right? So Bitcoin went after the base of its weekly. That's fine. But presuming it can go deeper in the range. So at first it hit this 4-hour break level. So the move that broke it out needs to hold it down. So let's talk about this for a minute here. Let's talk about, I'm going to turn the music off here. Let's talk about what we can kind of take away from this. So we know that the move that breaks it up or breaks it down is also what can hold the move. So this was pretty important because this was telling you if it was long-term distribution or not. So I want you guys to start, guys and girls, to start thinking about the data that's being communicated to you from the charts. So in our case, this yellow line here was the origin level. That origin level is what broke the chart down, right? If this origin level is what breaks the chart down, theoretically, it's also what should hold it up, right? It's also what can hold it up for like a big move up, just like we've been looking at in the past year, just like with every origin level, every kind of breakout moment in the charts, whatever breaks it out is what can ultimately hold it down. So when you look at this and you see the origin level here, right? When you look at this and see this origin level had been something that had stabilized Bitcoin for a long time and it breaks, when we go over top of it here, we know that it's not moving down. Now, it's not to take an additive formula and start saying, oh, we know it's not moving down, therefore it must be moving up. This is to say every single data point has something that it represents. So breakout data set, right? Like this is a breakout data set. Oh boy, nobody saw that. This is a breakout data set. So it's a set of data or a data point that tells us it's breaking down the move. It's an origin level. So this is giving us, here, let's move it to the left side. Let's move it to the left side. What does middle, what does center look like? Yeah, I like center for this example. Okay, this is telling us that this will break the move down further, right? Break the move down further like this. So if you were to stop here, this is telling you that the move is breaking down. There's no two ways about it. That's what this data point is telling you. That doesn't really have a lot of other data. It's very straightforward. It is kind of the strongest point in the chart, if you want to think of it that way, because it represents only one outcome. It represents Bitcoin holds this price and it has another huge move down because it's setting itself up now for a complete collapse on the charts. So the data point on this specifically is only communicating one thing. If it holds, it's breaking it down, and there's nothing else to be considered there. It's a very black and white outcome. There is no, maybe it tested a few times, multiple times. If it holds the move, it's going to just dive like crazy, just like it does on the other side of the chart when you break over one of these origin levels and it holds it back. It's kind of like best entry before this thing flies up, right? Same thing here, best entry before it flies down. Now, you move on to your kind of next data point. And what you're going to do is you're going to go like this, and you're going to say, it's not a breakout data set. It's I don't know if you want to call it a whole data set or a whole data point, right? Data point, data set, it doesn't matter. Data set, data point, all the same. Whole data set, it can break the move down further. So this can hold the move down, right? Just like the origin level, it has that possibility to do that. It can also stabilize the move, right? Wait. What? It is with an I. God damn it. Nobody saw that. It can also stabilize the move, right? So what can this hold level do? Let's go like this. It can break the move down further. It can stabilize the move. It can test deeper in its range, right? Test deeper in its range. So it represents, again, a lot of the same stuff. It represents a lot of the same things. It's just that it has more things that it can do. So we're not doing we're never doing additive calculations on these data points. We're never doing kind of this set of information or criteria where you would be saying, oh, it can do this or that or this or that, right? You're always going in kind of this reductive formula, right? And this is the weekly hold level that says it can break the move down further. It can stabilize the move. It can test deeper in its range. And this is how you have to look at moves. It can have a marquee of possibilities. I don't think a deep dive is a candidation here, so we wouldn't say deep dive, right? Yep. And then you go to this one here, which is the daily level, right? We have this marked as a daily level. Let's just make sure our colors are right and we're not being silly. We have this as a a daily level. Now you can say this can still break the move down further because it's a hold level. So I'll add this to here, hold / break the move down further. The weekly is the same thing, and you can add hold to the weekly as well. Let's just not confuse things. Let's just go like this. It can hold / break the move down further, right? Test deeper in its range. This protects the leg of the move, right? This protects the leg of the move. So you start adding more theory to these deeper levels, right? You get up into here. We're at the 1 hour level. This is now not only protecting the leg, but deep diving larger time frames. So now we have to consider hard closes, right? Now we have to consider hard closes. Oops, let's make this 10 go center as well, right? We're just going to kind of offset these ones because they're all going to jumble up together. And then this right here, let's make sure we copy and paste this one. Copy this, paste this. This can also create an origin. Create an origin, breakout in the future, right? So you can see how this one we're going to put on the left side. And we'll make this small like that. That looks good, right? Or you know what we can do with this one? We can put it on the top. And we can go top center. There we go. That looks good. So now we can very easily see how they all share a relationship in terms of what can hold the move down. Because they can all hold the move down because they're all within the range. So if you were to go to the bigger time frame, you could just see, hey, look at this. They're all within the range. That's great. They share the same part of the move, right? No, let's zoom into the middle here. They all share kind of one same relevance here, which is they all can break the move down. But as you go deeper into your time frames, what you're doing is you are adding more and more possibilities for data inside of those time frames. And we can, well, we'll keep that there for now. It's just kind of in my way, so it's annoying, but that's okay. But you can see as you go deeper and deeper into time frames, they all have something else that is, again, don't think of this as additive, like you're adding pieces from the bottom up because you have to test this first. These get created first in time. So if this gets created first in time, and then this gets created, and then this gets created, these moments that get created in time, these are, again, not additive, but you're reducing the possibilities as you move down throughout time frames. So it's not that you have some overarching piece, which is a 4-hour origin with a weekly level. It's not like you're taking these and adding more possibilities to them. Actually, it's the opposite. These possibilities exist, and the further in the chart you go, the more possibilities you're just getting to that were already there. So again, it's kind of like think of it as a reductive type of theory where you're reducing your chance to break down based on the larger parts of the chart you're going to. It doesn't mean you can't break down. It just means there's more possibilities for other things to happen. So where the outcome here is very specific, you have kind of one predetermined outcome. You open your ability to have more outcomes as you go. So this is really important when understanding ranges, level testing, anything that we do, is that to read the data of what's being communicated to us will allow you to see, well, for example, if there's an origin level in play, the deeper you go in the move, the more likely you are to create an origin, right? And the deeper you are in the move, the more you should be looking for an origin. You know, you can take your chart to whatever last part of the move, and the deeper you get into this move, the more likely you are to create an origin. The shallower you are in the move, the more likely hold levels are what's going to continue to hold your chart down. And the even more shallower, well, the more likely you're still moving in that same direction, right? You can just even go to this side of the chart and, you know, whatever point breaks this out here, I'm sure that has, you know, some kind of interaction here. Whatever point breaks this out, like we've been looking at this thing the whole time, right? We've been looking at this chart the whole time, and whatever move breaks it up has to also continue to hold it. So this is a really important part of being able to read data, is to understand that. Why is this one not on the screen? Let's move it to the right side. It's a really important part about reading data, is to understand whenever you look at a range and you have all these different levels, what each data set represents and the possibilities it holds. Because the further you get, those are giving you your key answers for the future, right? Like you wouldn't be looking for an origin level if you didn't get higher in the range of the move when it comes time to short or to look for something in the future. You could even go as far as saying, yeah, okay, we have a daily reverse here, right? Come on, we have a daily reverse here. You have an origin level here for the future. This could deep dive this origin level and then fall down, giving you your kind of perfect point for the future, and et cetera, right? Like that becomes the moment that you break out and you buy it on the other side. And that's when you have that reversal of the markets and so forth and so forth, right? So this is a really important thing to realize with, you know, how we mark levels will kind of give you your answers going forward. And it's the data they communicate is kind of a critical piece of information. This was, you know, had this held, you know, it loses its little interior piece of its move here. It holds this origin level. It's as clear as day that this thing is breaking down. The fact that we passed that, it doesn't mean it can't break down. But now when you're here at this weekly level, let's zoom out so we can see it because I have it center chart. Now when you're here at this level, now your possibilities are more. It's a hold and break the move down further. This can stabilize the move, so you can continue to hold this. It can test deeper inside of its range while not hard closing. You get further in the move, now you're starting to talk about attacking the legs, creating range trends, laddering, going after floating levels. So that would be represented here, where you're looking at floating levels, going deeper in the range, creating range trends, possibly adapting a cycle. You know, there's a couple more things you could add here. And then here as well. And then you create an origin on top of it, create final tests, final holds, final lows. What time frame is the very top? I believe it was a 15. If memory serves me correct. Yeah, it was a 15. So this is pretty important to understand about data sets and how we read data in our charts. This range all represents one thing. So if you were to delete all of this text on your screen, you could put the overarching criteria in this here, right? You could put the overarching criteria in this here. Let's move this to the right. And you know, give it a label, right? You could put what's the possibilities inside of this range, right? And then this range would have children. This range would have children that are, this level is its child, that's its grandchild, and so forth and so forth. Because inside of here, you would define your possibilities, right? So you define the entirety of the range. Jesus. You define the entirety of the range, right? This is defining all the possibilities inside of that range. And then this range has a relationship with that range of what they can define against each other. So this is kind of like an important thing. When we're reading data points, it's not just this simple game of, oh, a hold level means that the move is holding. Yes, but hold levels have relationships to each other because it's all containered by the range. And then the range has a relationship with the other range, just like this level here represents something on our charts that has further relationships inside of it. That's all superset by the range. But then this range has a relationship to this range. So this has a hierarchy to this range. And then, so you can see it's almost just like, like I've always said, it's containers inside of containers inside of containers. And then containers are brothers and sisters to other containers, right? And then there's a family of containers where it's all, again, like a deduction, right? Decycling. A decycling of logic is what it is, because decycling is, yeah. It's a decycling of logic No worries, King. The range, though, the range is just simply like whatever can be the top part of the chart. So like the range here is just, so we went over this yesterday a little bit, but origin level to kind of the leg of the move there. What protects the move to the origin level there? In this case, that's what it is here. In this case, it would be whatever broke the move down. Like a range is defined as this. Okay, I'll put it into very simple words. A range is defined by the 2 points of polarity. So the range is defined by 2 points of polarity. Like in this case, if you get past this, you're in the start of the range, right? Or this moment here would be the very bottom of the range. This would be breaking out of it, right? So that would be breaking out of the range, and this would be entering the range. So it's like the 2 points, right? Like the two breakout points. So like if you were to break above this level, you would be inside the range. This is where that range starts because that's what broke the move down. Right? This is the level that broke the move down. So that's what you have to get back into. This is the move that holds it before you start flying up into here. So that's your top of your range and your bottom of the range. The polarity points before having gaps in the chart, I guess that would be one way of saying it, if that makes it possibly better to understand. The polarity points before the gaps, right? Like if you have a big dump, like right here, you know, it's the same thing here. You have whatever's holding you up here, that would be the very bottom of your range, and then you gap down to the next part of your move, right? So that creates that gap there. So that's where your ranges exist. And then there's a pseudo range inside of here. There's like a little kind of pseudo range inside of here. The range between two ranges is also considered a range because it would be, you know, let's make this one really light, right? Or like, yeah, let's make this one really light, like this kind of thing. Then there would be like a range in between the ranges, because in order to break above this range and to get into that range, then you'd have kind of this less important range in between, the range that would say, okay, are you going over top of this range and falling back into it because you deep dove some candidation? So this would be a range too, but it's typically not something we do because it's just you don't mark ranges between ranges, but you can. Actually, if you were to go, it would just be range back to back to back, because where this breaks down, you would by default create another range, because that would be, say, the origin level. Like for example, if the origin level is right here, well, then you would actually need to get back over that in the future. So then that would be the beginning of this range up here, which would be kind of like an in-between range. But it's just that it's a little less important than when you're finding, you know, parts of the move where you have a clear definition of range, where you have level development. Like in here, you're going to have origin levels, you're going to have interior trends, you're going to have hold levels. In between two ranges, you kind of don't have anything there, but it is still a range because you're in between two ranges. It's just it's less important. I hope that makes sense. But because there has to be a range there, the only difference is that it doesn't have the same development, it doesn't have the same developmental criteria. Like it would never have this hold level because it actually just sinks down into the next range. But that doesn't mean you can't get into a moment like this where you break up here, go up here, refuse to go in the range, and then start creating a range here off of levels, like something like this. And then you have hold levels, and you have interior trends, and then blah, 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 right? And then so like, it doesn't mean you can't create a range. So it's just kind of like a, you know, undeveloped range in the making, I suppose. But it doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't have that same developed criteria, right? Because this, you have, you know, a trend, you have a hold level, you have ladder points, you have origin levels. Like you've already got that all developed. The range here doesn't have any of that developed. So you could actually be stuck between two ranges and creating a new range, for example. So you can actually be like this, breaking above this range, fail to enter this range because this may be possibly like this right here, a breakout data set holding it down in the future. This is like a greedy, untested origin breakout point. So it might need to go there in order to break the move down. And this may hold it trying to break the move down, but yet holds some breakout point that it created here. So you've got origin here, breakout point here, right? You've got two breakout points. Therefore, you then create a range in that moment. So it's like a range that's not developed yet inside of a range, but it simply doesn't have the developed criteria yet of all the stuff in here to have that information on the charts. It has to develop it in the moment. I hope that makes sense. People say, okay, we've got an origin level here. What does that mean if it breaks down? So if we test this level and it breaks down, what does that mean? Okay, it means like load up your shorts because this thing's holding down for the, you know, we're going down the slide, like we're at the water park, and that's not a slide that ends, right? It's straight down. You know, this, if this had held, that's what it means. And then when it breaks over top of it, then we have the ability to say, okay, it broke over top of the move that would hold it down. That means it's going to test deeper in its range. What happens if it tests this? And then trades can be made off that, because we understand what the data means, right? Then we understand what, you know, this developed criteria. Like if we go up in the range a lot further here, we start looking for origin levels. So we start looking to make a big short on this level. You know, because it will pull back and then create an origin for the future, right? So like understanding the data allows you to trade better, easier, cleaner. It gives you kind of the compass, if you would. If you can understand what the data is telling you on these levels, you can understand what the next move is. So that's kind of important for trading here. Continue to hold this weekly level over time. Start developing some pretty decent time frames on it, like multiple 4-hour tests or multiple daily tests. You just can't quite get over this weekly. I think that's a pretty good indication that you're laddering down long term as well, right? Like how deep in this range are you going to go, right? So I think that's a pretty decent indication as well. But I also think this is a pretty decent point for this thing to break up and try to create something that it can hold. So that's kind of a TLDR.
Yeah, when I see the move afterwards, they always make sense, but I have especially the problem, like, yeah, indeed I see the trends breaking and you can array them out, and it's like, yeah, when do you stop arraying out? And when do you get indeed the signal that the move is failing? That's
Interior trends.
Yeah. But I guess, or you said the move is not, how did you say it? Isn't not compromised, but I don't remember. Because I guess you could still have your interior trend like arrayed out to like all the way, like to its final trend, but
okay. So which part?
Well, if you indeed like on the 5 minute, I think more.
Well, that's not always supposed to be a 30-minute level. Let me just get mark this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's the one.
Come on.
Well, indeed. So when I'm in that move, I would say, okay, I would draw those trends, but I don't think I would get the signal that at this point that the move is failing, because I would have like, okay, I could still array my trend, like the yellow one, like this isn't hard closing yet, but I think the next one is. So I would say, okay, I array out my trend to here, the yellow one.
So you would have been reshorting this?
Well, reshorting, I would probably still be in this short.
This one here?
Yeah, and that 96.85.
Why?
Well, because I'm like, okay.
Okay,
yeah.
I see. Okay,
yeah.
That's fine. That's justifiable. You're still in 96.85.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So I see it indeed. I dumping. I see it. Oh, it's laddering down. Nice. Here it's laddering down again. So I take that yellow trend and I array it out to this one.
So let's see the levels that it can't be. So it can hold this. That's fine. It can hold this. Mm-hmm. So you're still in the move. You mark this level. What do you do next? Right? Because you're saying, okay, it broke this level. What do you do next? You array the trend like this?
I would, yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay. So you array the trend like this. You've got no hold levels left. So what do you do next? Like walk me through
then I guess this one.
Okay. So you're here. So you're given clear. So at what point are you saying, okay,
there you go, Kartik. Hopefully that's better.
When you lose 96.85 just at a neutral sum, is that where you exit the trade?
That's what usually happens to me, yeah. Because I indeed fail to see, yeah. Because I understand indeed you lose your last ladder point here, but again, it's creating a last ladder point here. Okay, and then, yeah, I guess last exits possibilities in profit is like at this level if it loses this one.
Okay. Let's go one candle at a time. So you're still on the trade, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's laddering down off of this one.
Okay, so what would you do here?
Yeah, the audio is not balanced very well in these videos. I never balanced the audio properly. Oh, I actually didn't do it at all.
What would I do here? Let me think.
This one's not
I did very, very minimal work on these videos before
So you've
releasing
got
them.
this
Just
hold
no
level
time.
here.
Can make this one green. So what do you do now? Where is your technical analysis kicking now?
Well, I would say like, okay, it clearly is or it bounced off of this hold level. And
You
again,
draw an uptrend to see will that hold break it.
Bingo.
Hmm.
Is that the right uptrend?
oh, the very local one.
There's a local one, a more interior one, isn't there?
You mean like this?
Not even from the reach point of that trend you just drew until the next one.
So you're saying like this?
Yes.
Nope. That's not what we would do here.
Okay. Well, then it is that trend you have drawn then.
I'm going to circle back to what I was talking about last week with this move. This move has an interior component, and you almost have to look at it like this. You've attacked this level, right? If you are going to, and I'll try to simplify this as much as I can, if you are going to succeed in the attacking of this level, you must hold this trend. If the attacking of this level is therefore going to break down after, it must break this side of the chart, right? So you've got, oh, come on, man. So you've got, you know, a range holding it on the bottom and a very interior range holding it on the top. And the interior range is starting to create a cycle right here to here, now to here, right? So you are in interior components of move. So I think a smart way to think about this, or well, it would be the best way people can think about it, is you attack a level, you create an interior component to see, is this level breaking? Yes or no. You would have had the same thing on this one down here, right? You would have had like this to this, like so, right? Is this holding the move up? Yes. Okay, you're breaking up. Like, very simple as that. You test the level. Is this holding, right? And we're not going to switch time frames. This hard closes while holding the level on the bottom. Okay, you're going to go to your next range, or your next part inside the range. You're going to go to your next level inside of that data set. So I think this is an important word to remember, and we start using data set instead of data point. Data point refers to singular moments inside of a data set. A data set represents all the possibilities inside of that range. So this is the set of data inside of that range. So this level has a relationship to this level, to these levels, to these levels, to these levels, because it's kind of moving through, if you can look at this, from strongest to weakest in a way. Origin breakout point would be the strongest. It would be stronger than the weekly because it's the point that holds the move up and indefinitely has only one outcome. Break the data set, break the move down, or hit this data point and hold your move, you break down completely. If you hit the weekly, now you have, you know, options. And then inside of the weekly, you have a range of options. So you can still test this weekly if you go to the daily and pull back, or if you go to the daily and then go to the hourly and the 15 and even create an origin level and then pull back underneath this weekly level and hard close. So this is an important kind of line in the sand or distinction that we'll make from this moment going forth, is that there's a difference between data points and data sets. The data set represents what's inside of the range. In order to attack the weekly level, you have to go after what broke the move down to create that weekly level. So in a way, this origin level would be stronger than the weekly level here. And then once you've broken that origin level, you can go to the weekly, and that weekly can target the daily inside of it because it has its own pseudo range, right? Like this weekly test would have its very own range right here, right? The test of the weekly inside of the larger part of the range, and the larger part of the range is the origin level that could only have one outcome, which is breaking the move down, as to where there's multiple outcomes on this weekly level, right? So interior components here, and that's really what this was about. Interior pieces of your move will decide what is happening with that test of the level. So there's a very straightforward queue of events. You hit a level, you create interior moments after you hit that level to see if you're going up or down, right? Very straightforward. You're going up or down based on the interior moments, just like you had your trend here, trend held. This one broke, it means you're going to break up into your next level. Your weekly is here. Can you continue to go deeper in the range? Well, this is the trend that tells you whether you can or not. Can you go deeper in the range? Yes or no. Are you holding this trend? Yes, then you can go deeper in that range, right? And you're starting to create that cycle on this side, as you can see. When this breaks, it means that you're likely going to be setting up a new multiple attack scenario on this weekly level going forward, which only kind of makes sense, right? Or you're going to try to ladder off of it. And now what option or possibility does that create? Hit your weekly level, kind of go around here, create a new weekly level there. You know, it's Saturday, tomorrow can happen. So we could have a 2-day thing where we then go hit this and dump down, therefore breaking below this and never hard closing this, right? So this is really important to realize how many different, like there's data sets and there's data points. Data points are the singular communication lines. What does this exact moment mean? A data set would more refer to the set of data that represents the range, right? Or it's like the data set. So this is like an exercise, I suppose we could do, is creating the data set. So let me write that down as an exercise. I think this will help us understand how we can break down these data points better. Data points are singular entities, or well, I won't say entities, I'll just say data points are singular. How would you say this? Data points are singular. God, I hate that word, entities. Data points are singular moments. We'll do that. Data sets are the container for those data points. Data sets are the possibilities inside of a range. We'll put that like this. So we create a data set, just like we did here today. We create a data set of information, and the data points inside of it allow us to have clarity of what that data set is doing. And then that's inside your range, right? And that's in this. Data points are singular moments. Data sets are the container for those data points. And then in brackets, data sets are the possibilities inside of a range. Yep, that's perfect. I'm gonna pin this message in the pinned messages there. It's in messages so you can review it. And let's continue on. But I think this is all important part of it. And then inside of each data point, it's very straightforward. You have a test of a level, and then you have interior moments. So again, this is really what we're talking about here, is this interior moment and what decides if this thing is breaking up or down, right?
Okay, we have
Yeah,
nothing
bigger
down
time
here.
frame. Yeah, 5.
Oh, yes, in here.
This
Okay,
one. Yeah.
broke there. Okay, hard closes here. So that gives us our base point for the next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. So what do we have? Okay, nothing there. We have that right there. Okay. So what do you do now? Now you have some usable trends. What do you do?
I guess you can stay in if the whole level floats through that near trend.
Which whole
and
level?
you get it.
Stay in a short if you, yeah.
Stay in the short if your yellow whole level holds it through that interior green uptrend. The whole level that you have already marked. I know it's been tested a couple of times, but it's holding.
Mm-hmm. It's holding.
So
is it
if
like a Pandora's box, like hold level here, hold level here?
Okay, good guess. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say if the 96, 66 level can hold through the interior uptrend, you can stay in the move.
96,
Yeah,
66.
that there. If that holds through that green uptrend.
Okay. Anything else? There's one more thing I would do here. Let's make that a different color. That's confusing. Now, whether this is usable or not, I would still have it on my chart. And know that the green lines are the more global trends, and this blue is kind of just like an interior trend here. Okay. Any decision to be made here?
Yes.
Not yet.
Okay, so we're still on the short. What about now?
Seems like it bounced off the blue trend interior wise and starting to break over the hold.
Okay. So any decision to be made here yet?
For me, not yet, because there's no hard close in either up or down trend yet.
I agree.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd be doing the same. Yeah, very often staying these trades for now.
What about now?
There, I'd be
Yeah.
out there.
Well, I would say I'm out now, but I would even dare to again array out the trend like this one, because it's this one. But
This one here?
yeah,
Okay. Based on what premise would you?
it hard closed, so it can array out. That's the only premise. It's
So you would
There is
stay in
one-
this. What? Okay, go ahead, Pat.
Sorry, you see that line there? Well, that wick has hit the leg of this move, so technically it's broken distribution.
Okay.
This second last candle.
Still holding that longer term as well, per se. But yeah.
But if you want to hold money, we are going back up to your original entry. Look at that.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Still in the
Well-
trade? What did we miss?
like some hold level here, holding. No.
It's
Any
likely
hard
higher
close on
time
relevant
frame.
time frames. There's a 3-minute hard close there. This is telling us the move is breaking up. Actually don't know if that's a hard close. It's not. Okay, forget that. I had gotten out before this, so I didn't analyze this. So I'm doing this with you guys on the spot, on the fly. There's no 3-minute hard close yet. We still have our interior trend. Okay, so we're still in this trade. What thought process now? We're going to do this candle by candle. What's the thought process now?
Relief
Well-
that didn't break up. Thinking we're okay.
So KG, you think you can move it this way?
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Yeah,
I agree
and I
with
would
that.
be again, the Pandora's box. Okay, we have a hold level on this side holding. We have a hold level on this side holding. So, yeah, it's
we can just
one
move
of
this to here.
one of the two that has to give it.
Okay. You guys are missing an important piece of information here. What is it?
Have we lost our ladder down?
An important piece of information tells us we should be getting out of this trade, is it?
There's an early sign here. There's definitely an early sign.
Is it end of ladder here? The end of the ladder down? But no,
I'm going to delete this because we don't need this one anymore. This was the 5-minute break. That was the 3-minute break from the past. This is the 1-minute break. So at this point, if we lose this trend, what's going to happen?
You've lost the range.
There's nothing left holding it. All the shields on the move are gone, right? If we lose this trend. So still in the trade.
That 1 minute mightn't hold as a hold again now.
You could even say it's right here, actually. That would be more relevant. It would actually be even more relevant to use the body of the candle, to be honest.
See, I'd be kind of looking at that 1 minute thinking that might still hold it down.
How are
That's
you
not
determining
valid.
relevancy? Like, when is the wick important? When is the body important?
I'm always using the body. It's greedier piece on the other time frame.
Okay.
Okay, so you're still on the trade, KG, yeah? Still looks good. You're still in the move, right?
okay. So we did get on the 1 minute, a hard close under that blue trend, but was it a larger time frame trend? I don't remember.
Nope. So you can definitely do that. You can, again, this one is just an interior trend. How useful is it is another question, right? So you're in this trade here, right? At what point do you think this short is going to continue going down? That's a good question to ask, actually. Yeah. At what point do you think this short drops below and dumps down to, say, like 9,000 or whatever it dumps down to? I don't know what it dumps down to, but at what point do you say this is like done?
Larger trend breaking.
Okay. Anything else?
No more trade levels on the bottom side.
No more level on the bottom side. Okay. Anybody else?
About the same. When you put the trend in there.
I can tell you guys
Those
it's not on
levels.
this. I can tell you it's not on the screen right now.
You're looking for some
Isn't that-
sort of exterior event.
You're looking for an origin of some sort, isn't it?
It is on the screen right now. Now it is. Which should be a pretty dead giveaway, which is whatever this is holding back here. So once this hard closes, this is already tested, right? So trailing from here, ladder point, ladder point, ladder point. So if this hard closes, now the move's done, right? So we have a point now in our trade where we can say, okay, if we hard close this, we are going down for sure. So if we hard close this, we're definitely moving down. That's the last level. There's nothing left.
So I think that's a pretty nice way to look at trades as well. When you're in the moment, just rewind this 5 seconds. I think this is a nice way to look at trades when you're in them in the moment, is when you set up your doomsday event. And if that event happens, you just get out of your trade. And this is kind of a quick hack way to set like the doomsday parameter on your trade. If you're in a short, and if you have all this other information and you're not quite sure how to dissect it, you can set up kind of like this final moment on your chart. And you go through the queue of events and you say, okay, we've got trends, we've got this, we've got that. I don't know what we're doing. But what I do know is if we hard close this level at 96.47 here, this yellow one I just added, if we hard close that level, it's going down for sure. If we hold that level, it means not hard closing it, we have to get out. So you can always do kind of this, I don't want to say like a final moment. Yeah, like a doomsday moment, like an emergency button kind of, like think of that as your emergency button. When you test it, you're either going to hold it, move up, and you stay in your trade if you're long, or in this case, KG was in a short. So if it hits this level and holds it, you got to get out of your short. If it hits this level and breaks down, you just continue to stay in your short. And you can set up this kind of doomsday level when it gets too cumbersome. Like sometimes I do that when I've, like sometimes I know that this is something I've done when I've been trading 4 or 5 things at once. I just kind of have like an emergency button on them where it's like, okay, it has to hit this level in order to move up, and it has to hit this level and break it in order to move down. So in either scenario here, you have like an emergency button on the bottom and your final hold on the top. So it's kind of a cool thing to do when you can have like an emergency button if you're not quite sure. And you know, it happens because sometimes it's a lot of stuff changing all at once. And sometimes, like I've been in moves in Bitcoin where you're jumping around the chart like crazy. You're in 1 minute time frames. It's extremely volatile because it just hit some crazy level. You are switching between 1 minute time frames and 5 minute time frames, and a 5 minute hold level just got developed. So you're you know, moving trends and marking levels, and then all of a sudden your emergency button gets hit while you're in the middle of doing it. It's like, oh crap, you know, you're still kind of charting and figuring it out. So speed is important, and so is accuracy. But then all of a sudden you have this kind of like emergency button on the trade, and it gets hit, and the emergency button is holding the move. Oh, it's holding the move. It's going to move up like in a pretty big way. If it hit that, create an emergency button, right? Like create an emergency button on your trades, and I'm going to pin that. It allows you to have like a moment where you can just stop analyzing the trade and just get out. Like hit the button on the desk, bang, I'm out, right? Like the big red glowing button that says "Do not press" on, you know, in the submarine, right? Create an emergency button. Create an emergency button. So this is something that I want people to start doing in their trades, is to create that emergency button. And you kind of get to a point where you create them without having to mark them on your charts. You just kind of have them in your head and you're like, okay, that's my, like a shield would be a good way to put it, but emergency button is all, I think, different than a shield. I think shields allow you to continuously trigger out of a trade, as to where an emergency button just gets you out of the trade to protect capital, right? Create an emergency button. So these are going to be the things that we're doing this month, right? And on the fly and live and stuff like that.
So if we hard close this, we're definitely moving down. That's the last level. There's nothing left to its ranges down here, right? So which is going to execute our long-term short. So this is kind of the point to validate. So if we never reach this point, simply going up, right? So would you be out of the trade here?
Even at this point, you could say, okay, we broke our final hold level. If we're in a short, yeah, it's probably time to leave. Or if you break slightly over this, it depends, I guess, where you entered your short and how close you want to ride that line. But you have your emergency button on the bottom, and if it hits and holds, you got to get out of the trade. All the same as you have this 1 minute hold level, and if it hits and starts to break over, It hasn't hard closed yet, but that is also the same function as that emergency button. It's just the emergency button allows you to get out early with more profits locked up because it's like, oh, it hit our emergency level and it's holding. Uh-oh.
I think I wouldn't know because still no hard close on the uptrend. But indeed, like, is that a signal that this fell short of like this?
No.
No.
No, I think this is important to know that if you lose
The writing on the wall here is that the trend on the bottom is still holding, and that this is still it's cycling up, right? Like it's cycling through its move right now. It's creating a cycle in different time frames. Like you've got, break there, possibly a break here. Like it's cycling up, right? It's creating a cycle here. You probably have to look at a higher time frame. It looks like a 3 minute right now.
Yeah.
See what the next candle
I would
holds.
have to say yes. Yeah. Until.
Would you still be in the
no
trade?
hard close?
Yeah, no hard close.
Need to check different time frames. Yeah, good. Oof. Yeah,
It's
you
like,
developed
yeah,
a 5
it's
minute
like you're
level,
getting
right?
to a point where you
So
can't
let's get
exit
back to that for
anymore
a second. 5 minute backside, hold, creating a 5 minute front side. You need to see the 3 minute here. Good, it
But
looks
it's
like I'm
like,
going to go
yeah,
to the 3
it's
minute.
like-
Good, okay. 3 minute backside, holds. Yeah, you'd want to see if that holds. That's there. Okay, yep, good so far.
You're getting to a point where you can't exit anymore in
Bingo. You're getting to a point where you can't exit anymore. So what would one of the other signs that you guys haven't said be that you're moving up here? Because the next candle, I think we know what happens.
Mhm.
So would you be out of the trade here?
And there, you have to be out of your trade there. You have to be. You have to take your licks and assume this is breaking up instead
Well,
of
I guess in the same aspect,
possibly
you could
riding
still
this
array
out.
it out again, but like
you
there's
could
indeed-
possibly get a
there's-
short
there's
exit down
no
here and
levels
just block up a little profits,
up
but that
top
would
left
be
anymore.
the equivalent to scalping a move that's breaking
That
out.
I
Would be
do.
very, very tough to
Probably
justify.
into the land of hope.
Yeah, indeed.
Into the land of hope,
yeah.
hopium.
So this is sounding
Opium
like
and
you're in
copium.
a riskier position. So if you're in a short, it's sounding like you're saying the words, you're in the land of hope. I think that's pretty much bang on. So now we're increasing risk by holding this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Very straightforward. The interior
Well, now-
component of the move is just
Yeah.
controlling the breakout,
Are you still
right?
in
Like
trade?
you've tested a level here.
The trend's final.
Sorry, right here.
hold
You've
has
tested a
been
level up
broken,
here, and
so
this interior
there's nothing
component
on
is
the
just
upside
telling you, can this level
after
hold? Are we going after the next level?
96.66.
Just like we did here.
Mhm.
Oh, but you have a
Would you
trend
still
down
be in the
here. The
trade,
trend is
hoping it
holding,
makes this
and
back
this
here?
one is breaking. Oh, you're going to go after your next level. Well, the trend is holding, and this one is breaking. Look at that. You just went after your next level.
So
or you're
would you
going
guys
after
still
the
be in
same
trade,
level
or would you
again,
be out in
right?
a
Like
neutral
that's
zone right now?
like it's just the same cycle that
I would
repeats
say still
itself,
in, yeah.
right? Like it's
That's
it's
actually
very
correct.
very
That's actually correct.
straightforward.
That was one of the things that is
Right?
actually
Like
correct.
it's,
if you're in this trade still, you should still be.
I don't-
in here
like,
because it should be re-entry.
Pretty straightforward, right? Like there's not much. You hit a level and you have an interior
Re-entry off
component
of-
See,
that
It should
controls
be
that,
re-entry
just like,
because
you
it's
know,
hitting the larger hold level.
you could delete this one
still
here and
holding
just
the
to make
hold
it
level,
clear.
creating a ladder down.
hit a level, create your range, and
So
now
in a
you're going
technical
deeper
sense,
into
this
it
would be
because it's
correct
holding the level and
here.
it's now it's cycling up, right?
And
Now
you
you've
can
got a
array this further
minimum
here.
of
This loses
this
its
as a
trend. It's
minimum,
gone.
and the
Absolutely
move's not done yet.
100% gone.
Minimum, right?
So you can use the top of a at the top
break
of the
level, if you
distribution
like.
candle. Oh, a break level. Okay.
Why would you think that this is what we would use?
It's just a
Well,
30-minute hold, huh?
But why use this candle? So no, this question is for technique. Why would you start marking tops of candles like this?
because it's below the only thing I can think of is it's because it's below the topmost point, so you're still
No.
laddering down. Yeah.
While it is correct, you're still laddering down. Why did I mark this?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's a hold level from the past, which is like I started that sentence with that. This is the hold level it's still holding.
It tested the whole level.
Okay.
No,
got
whatever
it,
this
got it.
whatever this is, it's still holding.
So don't mind
I
the
didn't
fact that I'm
mark
using
this candle,
30-minute
I'm just
charts.
using this as a reference point for the hold
In this
level.
video, we had done a
I
thing
wasn't
about
zoomed out enough. Okay,
using that as a
got it.
shortcut in this
It should
lesson,
still
and
be
we were
the same hold
specifically
level,
just
right?
using
Like
it
you're
because
still
there was
holding that same
multiple
level over time.
levels between
not-
time
nothing-
frames
nothing
there.
to do with
So
this set of
just
candles.
disregard that it's a 30-minute
hold
time frame.
level's
We don't use
broken. Got
30-minute time frames.
Correct. So
Okay.
this could be a re-entry point, or you would still be in your trade KG. Okay, what about now? Still in the trade?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would, yeah.
What about now? Still in?
Yeah.
Where do you get out?
Like a hard close above the last trend, but then it's
So you get out here.
So, yes, that's where I would
Yeah,
be
so
looking
you
for entry,
can't
because
exit
now
here. It's too late. You're
this
always going to be
trend is
losing
gone,
profits.
The green one, because you can't.
You're in the
array
land
it
of
out any-
hopium.
So now you're taking a loss on this trade to get out,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
where do you close your
This
short?
session has
Have
been
you
amazing
closed
so
it
far.
yet?
Thanks, I see.
Yeah, I still generally market sell at that point because it's yeah. And then you see something like that happen indeed. So yeah.
I think this is a good point to get out of this trade.
Mhm.
If you were still in it for some reason from here,
Well, yeah.
I think the next is pretty obvious.
I'd be thankful to get out here. That would be
You're just holding a higher range. You're hard
like,
closing.
oh my god, be thankful to
Yeah.
get that exit there.
So
How do you
Oh,
know
sorry, you guys
when
can't
to
see.
pull back?
Be thankful to get this
sorry?
little exit wick
How do you
here
know to
because
wait for
that's
that
just like,
pullback?
oh my god.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
So
This is a
What's
pull-
the stop?
this is a
anybody
shit.
who's still in this trade knows this thing is breaking up. So this is like, oh my god, I actually got to exit this thing without losing any money, and I got to see if it's breaking up, and I got the exit. Holy crap! Talk about saved by the bell, man. This is like just straight up hopium and copium kind of stuff. Pray that you get out and hope to have the nerves to cope with the move breaking up and then breaking down, because you're like entering liquidation territory versus like, oh my god, thankfully I got out of this trade, because this trade was like broken and it was so obvious. Like I remember trading this in the moment with the group and it was just so obvious.
This
Right
level.
on.
This is a polarized level. I would question if you even got liquidated on this, to be honest. Pretty close.
Yeah, Jesus.
This is a polarized level. It's got a hard close confirming. over
So
time.
close.
Yeah.
That's more of a long trade that you'd be looking to take there, and the long trade would be based on this, right? Like,
Yeah, you've already broken the
that,
move.
or
Just
maybe there's a higher
re-enter on
closing
the
range. I shouldn't mark any trend until I see.
yeah,
higher
just
closing.
re-enter on the break of the local.
3 minute highest time frame, right? So we can go to and find the 1 minute and array that to there. So that's the point right there. Hard close it on holding its range.
Yeah.
How could
Because
you,
I do, yeah.
knowing
Because
that,
the logic we used for sorry.
no, it's okay. Knowing that, right? If this is tested, okay, and you're saying, okay, are we holding this range or not? Right? Go back to this, which is just a shortcut for the 3 minute, right? Like we just shortcut the 3 minute basically. So when you're shorting this level here, and you are minimizing your ranges down, let's mark every single range right there, right there,
Yeah.
right here,
Well, yeah.
even right here. So can't use this. Tested. This one here, sure, you can use it. This one here, sure, you can use it. What about this right here?
Well, what about that?
What about exiting right there?
Yeah, it's a different type of exit.
Breaking over the hold, and it's breaking trend. So is it not going to move up? And you'd be looking for a re-entry. Your re-entry can't be here. Okay, so let's talk about re-entry. Your re-entry could be here. Okay, so that's fine. Let's say and we're going to do this in red. So we exited here looking for re-entry. Okay, we took re-entry rate. We took re-entry rate here. Now we're going to mark this green. Okay, so where would we exit? If we took re-entry there, what's our exit point on this trade?
964.
We're going to reshort this, right? Like we reshort it. So we're in a short from here. Like we're in a short from this moment here. Now what?
We'll array a trend and use that one as the trigger point.
So array our trend like this to here.
Yeah, possibly this one here, but
Let's check the higher time frame, right? Let's always do this properly.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be a 15-minute here. There is, but it's not complete. So we can use this because it does have a pullback. And I wonder if there's a pullback on the 3 minutes. So we can indeed use this right here.
Yeah.
We're going to turn this yellow for this example because it's coordinating with this yellow level right here. Okay. So now what do you do technical analysis? You've entered a short right here on this candle. You're entered at 96.95 on the dot. Let's say you entered 96.95 on the dot. You got filled. Now what? What do you do?
$96.
Okay. So what is
Well,
this?
for a target, it's the hold down around the 96.45 area. I would think.
So we've established this is holding the move, right? We've established this is holding the move.
Oh, well, that's your target, isn't it?
Looks pretty good to me to exit this trade.
Yeah.
No hold levels above it.
That's what I want.
You're
So,
losing
yeah.
the range. You're losing the range. No hold levels. Look at it this way.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's already tested. Can't use it. This is already tested. Can't use it. It can hold long term, but then you have your last trend, right? Like you already have your final trend here. You already have a point where you know this can't hold it, so it can't be this. This can't.
This should
really,
be like a really
and is no longer holding it, so it can't
clear
be this, and it can't be
cycling
this. So
right now.
What do
Like
you
you think back to future trading, the cycles of a move, this is just cycling, like 101. Interior time frame, tested the level. Can it hold the level? It's cycling against it. Of course not.
Because it's like even this, you don't have anything here, right? There's nothing there. This is 1 minute candles. There's nothing inside of here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's this right here, maybe. You've got nothing left, so what is this testing?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna find anything. So we actually can't even use this one here.
That word always is a dangerous one, Triple Sam.
Like this should be clear. This should be absolutely, like, no doubt in my mind. Like maybe you hold this, maybe over time you hold it against the higher trend. So let's take a look.
Yeah, it's just a
Higher
very
local
clear
trend, this
cycle.
would
Like
be
you've just got a very clear cycle here.
Distribution right here, which arrays to here. Like this is it. This is it. Like this is
Data points,
polarity
interior
101.
trends,
Like there's
show
nothing
level
left. This
failing.
is
Yeah, it's
polarity.
just cycling
So
to its
unless
next
this
level,
thing
right?
can
It's just
hold
like
to this
cycle
level,
101.
I don't see any reason. to
Bottom
stay in
side
this
is
trade
holding, the
because
top side
once
is
you lose this
cycling.
level, this thing is gone.
There's like it's very, you know, you can use your levels to see what can hold it back, but really the cycle's already begun at the bottom when it holds and creates a trend on the bottom, and then it's gone. Like there's,
and it's gone. There's so yeah. I mean, it's obviously straightforward now, but this is how you dissect a range with chart architecture in the moment, right? Like this is how you.
okay, good. We got through that one. All right, let's put music on, do a small break. That was a pretty heavy lesson. I'm just gonna take a small break before we get started in the next one. I see posted a chart here. Did I see that posted this? Yes. Looks like you've done a good job of marking out the interior part of the move, right? Like you've tested the weekly level. The interior trend is breaking, so it's going to go attack that weekly level again, which is what's happening right now. Yep. Just, I would say be mindful that this is a weekly hold level. It's, you know, it does have that possibility to sit here and test it all day long for the next day or two. It is a weekly level, so, you know, before we call it broken, like, let's see what it tests in here, right? It is a weekly level. It is a weekly level. It doesn't mean we're breaking up in the charts yet, right? This doesn't instantly say, oh, we're hitting the weekly level the second we break over it, it's reversal. Like we still have some other stuff we can go after in here and then still pull back off the weekly and just, it's a weekly level. It could be, you know, wedged against here for the entirety of the day. We could be here until, you know, oh, I guess that's not that long, is it? Till tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, so we could be here for another full 24 hours, just wedging between this. I think you need to look for a sign of failure before you get into a short on the weekly. I see. So I think that's going to be the next natural question, and I think you can start doing it by saying, okay, where can you create a level? Like this is the first question I would ask myself. Where can you create an important level that stays above this trend? So you can't use the 4 hour, right? Like, you can't use this. Let's delete these. Let's delete this. Let's make this solid. Can't create a 4-hour level. Create a 4-hour level, you're going to go below this interior trend and the move's already broken, right? So you can't create a 4-hour level. So let's scratch that off the books. You can't really create a 1-hour level either, can you? This is not really usable. That already hit there, broke its 1 hour. This is too close to trend. So you can't, like, by the time this creates a level, you're going to be underneath trend and then it's too late. Okay. What about a 15-minute? Okay. Could we kind of linger around here for a little while and create a 15-minute level, right? Like you create a 15-minute level here. It held the move. It's breaking up again. You got the reverse here. You hard closed it to this. So you got this here, and there's no hourly reverses. So the best case scenario, you can create a 15 here. I don't think you're there yet. Like, I think it's very premature in the move. What are we on? 15-minute? It's why I kind of was marking 5-minute candles earlier in that session, like earlier, if you were, you know, you've already hard closed a 5-minute. So if you hard close a 5-minute and then you can start to get underneath this one, maybe it just kind of looks like the move's breaking up, to be honest with you. There's nothing it can create on the bottom side in order to even support a breakdown right now. It's holding its trend. Maybe it's going to go into a larger thing like this later on. If it fails, maybe you get into a larger thing like this where it comes down here and tests some kind of breakout point here. You know, you create kind of this larger thing. We can delete this one. You know, if it's going to break up, it could still hit this and do that. So I think that's a possibility. But, you know, right now, I don't think there's anything that could break this down. It's 7:45. So in 1 minute, you can, and you're lingering very close to the level. In 1 minute, you can kind of create something here. And then, so if you stay kind of lingering around here for 15 more minutes, I think that's when you can start to think like, okay, if this holds for 15 more minutes. So now you're getting into like a different kind of question. Now you're using technical analysis to say, oh, this level is holding. Well, why would that be important if the level's holding? Who cares? Well, because it creates time frames. Well, and that's what you're seeing right now. So if this holds for another 15 minutes and it continuously attacks it, now you have what you see as what prior to the session, you likely would have seen this as, oh, it's attacking the level and holding without any kind of recourse or without any kind of justification of why that would even matter. So like who cares if it's hitting the level and holding? Like, what does that even matter? But now you've attacked the weekly level. You're far enough from your range on the bottom or your trend on the bottom, the piece of the move that's holding it up, right? You're far enough away from this that if you kind of hold this level for the next 15 minutes, you could create a nice beige candle right here, and then you can create that hold level there. And then you can say, like, as you're closing in on those final moments, maybe it's 7:45 right now, my time, 7:45, maybe at like 7:58, you could be sitting there and hitting that level and saying, hey, this level has been holding. It's 7:58. We were about to create a 15-minute hold level. Let's short. Like, I think that's a smart short scenario, right? Maybe it's trying to do it right here. I would rather like to see it go up here again and continue to hold this, because now you're in the scenario where you're just saying, oh, the level's holding, it's going to move down. But now you know why it's moving down. Now you can actually use it for yourself. So now you could take that short if you kind of linger around here for a bit. And then you might want to play it a little safer. And so it creates a 15-minute level at 8 o'clock flat. 8:02 comes and you can see that there's a creation of a 5-minute coming as well. Meanwhile, it's laddering down interior wise. See what I mean? So I think that's where you can use that and say, well, it's creating this level, and that's the relevant level that it can create, because there are no other relevant levels it can create in this moment. It's not possible. I don't understand why it can't create a 4-hour. It's too close to trend. It doesn't have any room to breathe. It'll already be busting down. This interior trend has to have, if you create a 4-hour level here, look how close to trend you are. If you create a 4-hour level here, you're already going to be broken through trend. You're not going to create a 4-hour level, then test trend, then break it down. You know, it's like, you're going to create this level, it's going to be dumping already. 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So in a few minutes here, so we got a 4-hour close in 13 minutes. By the point it already gets below this, it's probably going to be sinking to the floor, because so like what? You create a 4-hour hold level here, and it bounces between what? This and this. It's like, oh, guess nobody knows what's going on. Everybody fucking knows what's going on. Yeah, this is so obvious. You know what I mean? So like, you can't, because at that point it would already be breaking its interior range. So you can't use that as a 4-hour. Can't use it as a 1, can't use it as a 4. So now we're looking up here at what could possibly be created up here that can attack this down here. because once you're already below this 4 hour, this range is gone. Holding it down. I see. Yeah, he's referring to a hold level holding it down. So that's how, you know, and then so you say, well, how do we know if the move is holding down? Well, that's where you would look and start. Oh, it's just testing level and holding it. But now you know why. Now you understand why that's important, right? So right now I like the idea of using this as a backside, which also represents the 4, kind of holding this and then going here to attack and create like a really small bodied candle that would be a 15. And then I think you'll see failure on this weekly if you can get to a moment like that. And then you have a hold level here, front side 15 minute, right? Front side 15 minute, backside 15 minute, also acts as the hourly candle as well, goes straight down. And then you've got a 4 hour test, 4 hour level, 15 backside. I like that setup. I like that setup. Kind of mess around here for a little bit. Then go up here to create that next 15 minute. Hold there, and then create a 15-minute body right here. Just a kind of a thin candle like that. I like that. And then sink right to the floor. I think that's a pretty decent setup. I think that's a pretty decent short setup. I think that's what this looks like over here, is it not? Go to a 15-minute, right? If we can ever get there. Have kind of a backside, right? Have a backside supported by a larger time frame. Kind of hold it around there, make this small candle, and then just dump off, right? Dump off, break your range. I'm sure there is some kind of, you know, interior range, just the same thing here, and then completely pull back. I do like that setup for the current move. Hit the weekly, create a 15, allow it to create bigger time frames for the future, because then you have a 4 hour range, right? Then you have a 4 hour range here. You have the 15-minute inside of it, deep dive it in the future, the 4 hour backside here, hit the backside, go after the 4, go after the 15-minute, possibly even reverse it as a ladder point, but not quite the weekly. No, I wouldn't reverse the 15 here, but I would like to see that 15 created. And then, you know, 15 backside down here, kind of rep fires in all areas. So I do like that setup. I would be mindful of that and keep an eye open for that. I think that's kind of one of the things I'd be looking for. If I was going to take a short, that would start to fill in everything you need to justify staying into a short swing trade, right? Because right now you're not in scalp trades. Well, okay, let me rewind that for 1 second. I don't want to say you're not in scalp trades, because everything starts as a scalp. I just think you've entered the criteria of, if you've been taking scalps for the last 2 days straight, this is like, oh, okay, this could be a potential swing trade or a position trade that we're entering. So I think this opens those options and those doors. Why isn't this a 4 hour right here? It's very close. It's you're more looking at the range. You're too close to it. You're more looking at this range right here. The 4 hour holding is not really important right now. For the future, sure, but not for right now. In the future, this can hold the move up. Right now, it won't hold the move up. The range trend has to hold the move up. Right, like this trend, that's just this like little interior trend. I'll just call this an interior trend. The 4 hours too close. It's not what's going to dictate this move holding up. You're already going to be deep diving the 4 hour to try to stay hard closed above it. And it's just going to go test the interior trend anyways. And if you lose that interior trend, it'll be hard for it to regain that 4 hour. So it's not that the 4 hour is not relevant. It's just not relevant right now. Maybe in the future. Makes sense. See that all the time. Yeah. It's too close. Like if you mark it, you know, if you mark it, it's going to go after this trend over and over. Even if there was a coincidence where it hits this, it's likely going to hit it when you're kind of right there anyways. But when you lose this trend, the move tries to deep dive and see if it can hold anything. At that point, it's becomes harder, right? Okay, we're seeing that 15-minute candle right now. Let's see if it can set up. It would have been nice if it set up a little higher, but this is okay. This is okay. The setup is there. There's that 1 minute test. The setup is there. Predict the future, right? 1 minute test, 1 minute test, 1 minute test. The setup is here, just like we said. Man, is that ever going to be a sick call if that's setup is there. Setup is there. It can now create a 15-minute if it hangs on here. Just needs to hang on a little bit, create a 15-minute, and then dump. Don't dump too hard here. You could still get into a short if it dumps hard, but it was just better to get a premium position, obviously, right? Maybe it's going to do that same setup, but on the lower time frame. So the 5-minute right here. Oh, it's kind of trying to create the 5-minute ladder. I like to see the 15-minute here. I think I don't want to go too premature in this. You can still come and test this trend back multiple times. Don't be too impatient in this trade, right? Let it develop that 15-minute. Let it linger around here for 15 minutes. So it looks like the move is holding and it develops its move down, right? Now you've got this here. Let's do this properly. 15 to 15 right there. Good. This is what you want to see. You want to see it move up, and then you want to be able to see it create that 15-minute hold level here because it rejects moving up, and then you're kind of good. Then you're really in the sweet zone, right? That's good. It's perfect because it can go attack this again. So there's no short to be taken yet. You haven't exposed yourself to any risk here, and you're setting up a short for the better part of the move. So now the question becomes, do you short and where do you get into a short? So this reverse was just hit, creating this trend. It's fine. You're waiting still. Let that 15-minute create and then let it hit a hold level and let the hold level hold in the 15. That's where the smart short exists, because if there even is a short here yet, we're yet to see. And let's use this as what could be the 15. We need this to hold. We need like 12 minutes of kind of just like this little wedge action here. Let's go for 12 minutes of this. Right? Let's go for something like 12 minutes of this. Let's go smaller time frame even. 12 minutes of this. Get right into here and then let this sucker sink. Right? That's what I like. And the 3 minutes tested. 1 minute there, 1 minute here, trend, 1 minute. Oh man, this is going to be tough. You're running out of room. That's your next consideration. Maybe you have to go for a 5-minute right here. 5 minutes already, that the 15-minute you can't. Do you have any kind of like 3-minute stuff? Reverse on the 3, maybe that's where you take it. You're running out of room. That's the only problem. This move is now developed where you're running out of room. I still like the plan. Stick to the plan. 15-minute. Develop the move. Stick to the plan. Let the weekly get hit again. Let's create a 15 before we decide to go crazy here. If we miss it, we miss it. I like to trade safe. Still okay. So is it going to be this one then instead? I really wanted to develop that there. Son of a gun. We still can. We're not out yet. We're still like 11 minutes left, right? It's just kind of, you hope that it does that. You hope that it makes that setup. Because you're testing a weekly level, so like you have to create a criteria to make a smart short. You can't just short everything. I like waiting for that 15. I like waiting for that 15. I think it's a smart play. While this may look like in the moment it's, oh no, panic, we might be missing the move. I think that would be an amateur way to look at it. I think that would be, if you miss it, you miss it. Like, who cares? Like, go for the premium position, right? The setup makes sense, so go for the premium position. This is also insightful. I have a goal right now, I see, is to turn every single trader that I can in this group into profitable traders as fast as possible. So I've turned up mentorship, like I said, to a 10. It's my goal right now, is to make everybody profitable. It just feels like we're at that point. Wait for the premium setup here. Don't I just don't see why. Like, okay, fine. So you have the 5 minute, it's laddering down. You did this one, now you're doing that one. Let it ladder. That's fine. Let it ladder. We just bought ourselves more time by creating this. We're good. Let the setup develop, because if the setup doesn't develop, I don't like the trade. I'll be honest, I suck at day trading, so if you can do that, you've accomplished something. Well, okay, challenge accepted. I don't know if I win or lose, but challenge accepted. I think if I can't crack you, nobody will. I think that short would have a tight stop loss. I think you need to, yeah, like the short rate here, I think it's kind of a foolish position. I think given the fact that when you zoom out here, you could be here for the next day. I think you need to look for the premium setup. Like, this is something important to realize, is that you would have been looking at the same thing here. You're looking at it again now. It could happen again out here. This 15-minute candle could happen here. Like, and just to be spooked in the moment because it looks like we missed our opportunity. It would be foolish thinking, because we don't, who's to say we're going to create this and break straight down? Like, you could just test this and come back up and do that same exact setup we just talked about. We could do that same setup later on this afternoon. Who's to say we don't hold back here, right? But the thing about finding that setup and what makes it so valuable is it gives you your emergency button on the time frame that needs to create. So who cares? Like, the same setup tried to create here, but wasn't quite there because it hadn't tested the weekly a second time. Now that you've tested it a second time, now you're kind of in that territory where, like, yes, you've tested it, you're laddering off of it. It creates the perfect shield. That's the value in that. So, like, why take the short? Who cares? Even if you took it up here, like, who cares? There's not a good spot to get out, because likely it's going to test up again until it can create that setup. So it's going to have a moment where it either creates a setup to support it down, or it's not going to be able to create that 15-minute setup, like I said. And that's going to break the move up because it's an inability to create it. Like, it's going to continue to do this until either the 15-minute setup gets created, or it just simply doesn't get created and it breaks. So then it's like, the question becomes, is this breakout? Yes or no? Does it create that level? Yes or no? There's your answer, right? Like, don't, like, just get into it because you feel like you may be missing it. Oh my God, that's a big mistake like a lot of traders make. It's like they just kind of rush into the trade thinking, oh my God, I'm going to miss it. But if the setup wasn't there to begin with, there's nothing to miss, because then it's likely just breaking up if it couldn't set up the distribution side of it anyways. Right? So that's a really important thing to realize. Like, the premium setup is important in all trades. If it doesn't create your premium opportunity, like, why even get into it? Because it's likely just breaking the other way anyways. It has to create that premium setup even to break the move down. So if it can't create the premium setup, what are you getting into a move that's not going to break down anyways? Why are you shorting something that's telling you it's not breaking down? Right? Kind of like a very kind of, oh, makes total sense. I don't need to go through that spiel. Makes total sense. Makes total sense. If the premium setup can't be created, you can't have the perfect move to move it down. Of course. You're creating a one funnel setup with almost no risk. Yeah, that's important, and that's like account protection. But even more important is understanding that, yes, it's a one funnel setup, right? Exactly. But even more important is understanding that if it can't create, we'll call it the setup. If it can't create the setup, it cannot break down because it has nothing to hold it down. So it's all about creating the setup, right? And yes, when the setup is created, Triple Sam, you're right. It creates a one funnel type of move where you have the perfect shield, one funnel, one queue of actions, no questions, just completely automated, brainless trading. Just like, yep, here's my shield, here's my emergency button. Perfect setup, should hold the move down. Yep, loses the 4 hour, good. Yep, loses trend, good. Yep, exactly as expected, right? Very fluent queue of events that happens thereafter. I'll write this too. If the setup isn't there, the move will go against you. What do you mean without the premium setup? Nothing to hold it down. Exactly how I said. Without the perfect setup, there's nothing to hold it down. I think that's self-explanatory. I don't know how I can elaborate. If it can't create the perfect setup, it will break up because there's nothing to hold it down. The perfect setup holds it down. Without more experience, it's hard to know how big of a hold you need sometimes. How do you know it should be a 15? Just because there's nothing. It's the like if you go to the hourly here, in that moment I was using the 15 because we were close to the 15. So the hourly couldn't have set up here. It's the same as the 4 hour. It's identical. So it couldn't have been the hourly unless this was happening at 8:50, and then at 8:50, if it was lingering around here, then it can create an hourly. But at 7:55, there was no hourly to create. Like it would have to close an accumulation up here and then try that for 9 o'clock. So the next time frame down would be the 15 because you have an accumulation candle here, right? So you technically couldn't have created a setup on the hourly there. It's not possible. It would have to be at 9 o'clock. It'd have to be in another 40 minutes. So if you, for some reason, come up here in 40 more minutes and do that, then that setup is there for the hourly. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense visually. It's interesting that this setup involves the creation of a 15-minute accumulation. I used to see this as a sign of price going up. It's creating the hold level, right? It's creating the exact component that would hold the move down. We always buy hold levels, so why not buy them before they're created, right? If you're buying a hold level in the future, you know, imagine wanting to buy this in the future, but buying it up in here, right? But that doesn't equate to this being the smart buy right now because it can create something greedier. We always buy hold levels anyway, so why not start buying them before they're created? Why not take it one step further? Why not be one step ahead of other people who are buying hold levels, right? Perfect setup. I'm trying to visualize it in terms of holds or whatever. So it comes back to test this perfect setup, then trade on it. So you want to take it before that setup gets created because in the future it's going to go like this, I see. Because then in the future it's going to do this. Like it creates the perfect setup here. In the future it comes down here and does whatever down here in order to come up and test that level again in the future. So your trade exists from here to wherever it holds. And then you can take that level again in the future. And, you know, or if there's a better setup in the future there. Identifying setups is like a pretty critical, important part of what we do. So if you were to short this in the future, you're going to have a big reaction down first before you can come back up to test it. So you take that short now, test it, because that doesn't always mean you're buying this hold level in the future. Maybe there's a better setup there instead of the hold level. Maybe this hold level is a perfect setup. Maybe not. We can't tell that yet because we don't know how far this thing goes down. We don't know what level it tests down. So we can't possibly know like, oh, it's the perfect level because we tested down here. Like you can summarize it and, you know, make assumptions, but that's going to change at the moment. I think we get on to the next one or we're going to run out of time today. Although this is very interesting. Another piece that we've never talked about. I kind of feel like we need to kind of move on. I'm going to lose my entire Sunday if I keep talking about this stuff. I would rather people look at this is what I want to say. I would rather people like, okay, if you guys miss trades, guys and girls out there, if you miss trades, say you were trying to trade this range, but you missed your opportunity to get into the position. I want you dissecting it like this and saying, I missed my short. And I don't want the answer to be, oh, I missed my short because there was a hold level here that I didn't see, or, oh yeah, I had the level marked and I just didn't pull the trigger. No, I want you to miss trades because you said, all right, I developed the perfect setup. It made sense. The hourly level, I wanted to see it create first. I understand there's a hold level there and I could have bought that 5-minute hold level, but it made more sense to wait for the hourly to be developed first. And the hourly couldn't have actually been created. So we were looking for the 15. The 15 never got created. So I decided to wait for the next cycle attack on the latter point. So I wanted to see it go down to the interior trend and then create that next perfect setup on the next test because there wasn't really a premium setup to enter. So I kind of missed my opportunity there, but then it actually just ended up breaking trend. So it's not, yeah, I had the hold level marked, but the setup didn't make sense to buy that hold level. So instead of people getting into this habit where they say, oh, yes, I had a hold level, but I didn't enter it because I was scared. Like, this is a very common way that I see all people in open chat answer their, oh, I had this level, but I didn't, take it. And then I had this level. That's fine and dandy. Let's go, like, we're in mentorship. Let's go 10 layers deeper. And let's start saying, I missed this trade because of these reasons, and not, yeah, I missed the hold level. I just didn't take it. I thought it was moving down. Well, why did you think it was moving down? Why? What gave you that idea, right? So, like, this is what I want people to say when they miss trades. I want them to be, if you're going to take a short because you feel like the weekly level is going to hold it down, let's not take shorts and just say, well, I missed my level. No, let's start going over the top, hyper analyzing, making quality decisions where we can say, okay, I've now entered the perfect trade because of reason X. This is a much healthier, better way to learn how to become a day trader than just saying, oh, there was a level and I could have taken it. Yeah, your accuracy was great. Good for you. But what supports the theory that this can move down, right? Well, the setup would support the theory, the setup of the trade. We're creating a 15-minute hold level, and there's an hourly that can break the trend. So if we can create this 15 and backtest, use it as a shield, now all of a sudden you have an hourly backside hold level that you're broken down, you've broken a local origin, of course this is going to break down. So now you've got all the pieces you need, right? So no more in this group, no more I missed a trade because I marked my level. Like, you guys want to be serious and make money? Let's do this, right? Guys and girls, right? Let's do this. Origin level 15, like, great setups, think about it, mark the moves. No more like, oh, I marked a hold level. This is what I want to see in open chat. People who are paying $45 to be in the Discord and they don't have mentorship every week for months on end. I want to see people putting their minds to the test. I want to see people flexing that brain muscle. I want to see thought processes and logical setups. And I want to see good quality decisions made based on trades that have almost no risk on a consistent basis, right? That's where we need to be at right now. And the way we've talked about this level is that's the criteria that we would take the trade. And as much as we talked about it, there's no trade that exists there. So if this were to completely break down now, no longer do we say, oh, I missed the trade because I didn't think the weekly would hold it. I was going for a deeper level. No, we missed the trade because the perfect setup wasn't there. And this is going to increase the quality of your trades that you always get into. No matter what you do, this will increase the quality tenfold. This will always increase the quality of your trades because you're going to get into premium positions. And when you miss the trades, you're going to be able to say, oh, I did my due diligence. I understand why this move broke down. It just wasn't a good opportunity. Because sometimes it is too volatile. It doesn't mean we're not marking the levels correctly, but you don't always want to be knife catching. That's not, it's not sustainable to always knife catch and just kind of cross your fingers and hope a move holds. Like, there's more to this than that. How often are you taking exact levels versus waiting for the perfect setup? Oh, well, this is a weekly, so I'd like to see a setup here. Exact levels are not, testing a weekly level after breaking over an origin. This is pretty fringe territory right now. It's pretty black and white, right? Like, it's have a lot of volatility and big moves. Like, it could break up completely. It could smash through its move. It could crush down. Like, you're talking about a weekly level here, so when there's so much left up top, I would rather trade a setup. When you're in more of like a polarized moment, this isn't polarized. It's more of like a fringe moment where it has two cues it can go into. It's not polarized. Polarized would be like the final level, like the greediest point of a final level inside of a range. This is just testing a weekly for the first time. Like, there's lots that can happen. Yeah, there's too sloppy and not conducive to long-term success. Yeah, just hitting a level and just saying like, oh, well, I could have taken it, but I waited for longer. Like, that doesn't even mean anything. Like, what does that even mean? You could have taken it, but you didn't, just because you had like an intuition that it was going. We work in data points and sciences. We don't work on intuitions, right? We don't work on, well, intuition is good, actually. Intuition comes from your muscles in your stomach. Like, your stomach muscle has a membrane in it, and there's actually neurons inside of your stomach. That's where intuition comes from. So actually, your stomach has a memory. You have two brains. You have one in your stomach and you have one in your mind, or two sets of neurons, I guess, that signal the brain. So intuition is not terrible, because intuition tells us things that the brain can't see, but we have happened and we know there's something there. It's a different set of neurons that recognize a different thing that's happening, right? So intuition actually can be a great thing. So I don't want to say you never use intuition, because that would be silly, because anybody who understands the way the human body works, anyways, at a psychological level for the mind, there's neurons in your stomach that affect the brain. So intuition is very much real, The brain can't always recognize what you're seeing, but your intuition can, which signals the brain logically. No, intuition comes from the neurons in your stomach. You have receptors in your stomach. It's like you have two brains in your body. You have one in your stomach because there's neurons that are connected to your brain inside of your stomach. So actually, intuition comes from, like, there's a book, I think it's in Thinking Fast and Slow. I think it's in there, I'm not sure. But anyways, there's a story in a book about a firefighter who can't see the fire, but can smell it. Right? Firefighters in a building, the building's on fire under the wood, can't see it, can smell it, but not enough to actually signal the brain, can feel a tiny bit of temperature under his boots on his feet. Intuition in the stomach says, uh-oh, we smell fire. Well, we don't see fire, so the brain doesn't see fire. The intuition says, uh-oh, we smell a little, the smell doesn't, there's something off about the smell, and our feet are like 1 or 2 degrees warmer than my knees. Oh shit, there's a fire in the walls. Your brain can't see it. You can't actually understand it. It's actually the neurons in your stomach, and that's the intuition of a firefighter, right? The intuition of a firefighter says that, hey, something's wrong. We've seen this before and we know what it is. Signal the brain. And that's the way intuition works. It's not a subconscious thing. It's your stomach. Like, there's a lining in your stomach that has neurons that communicate with the brain. You have 2 brains. You have one in your stomach and one in your skull. That's why we must not eat too much. Okay, chocolate cocoa. Yeah, so like intuition is very real, but like we can't use that. There's a smarter way we can do this. We can use our brain and not our stomach, right? Cocoa. So stupid. I love it. The fires started in the basement. Yeah, I'm sure people have heard this story before, right? I'm pretty sure it's in Daniel Kahneman's book. Daniel Kahneman. Kahneman is how you say it. I finally learned somebody linked it in open chat. How he pronounces his name, Daniel Kahneman. Yeah, so like, again, we can't take trades on intuition. Let's make perfect setups, right? Let's develop perfect setups so that when we miss a trade, we can analyze it. And this is a part of what I was talking about yesterday, when we have, fear of failure, and the best moments and the best things are born off of failure, because it can show us how we were wrong and where to advance. And then you can have those points of failure. What did I miss in this trade? It's no longer, it just went deeper. Like, anybody who's doing that next week, time to take a step back and go back to the replays and put yourself back in the tank and watch today. So anybody who continues to do this today, like, call them out. If they're in the live trade with you guys in that live channel, be like, no, we don't do that anymore, man. Why did it miss this hold level? Like, why? You're talking about, oh, you just missed your level? No. Red flag, back in the tank, man. You got to go study this stuff again, because that's not acceptable anymore. So I'm really pushing people hard right now, which, yeah. Fight or flight, right? Okay, let's get to it. I think today's been nuts already, and let's finish it off with one last video.
Here, I believe, when I saw this move starting to hold, I went long.
Absolutely hold each other accountable.
I think it was at 49, like 50. So it was a few seconds off of 50. So I was
after this week, not after this week. Let's pause for a second. From this moment on, there's no more I missed the hold level. We go deeper, right? It's like, imagine you just went from year 3, whatever, schooling in your master's, to year 4, where they expect you to know everything. I expect you guys to be doing it at a higher level now. I expect that from everybody in this group. And if you're struggling with it, that's okay. That's where we learn together, right? Because not everybody's going to get it on day 1, but this is the standard we are working towards going forward. So if you want to be serious, you want to be making 6 figures a year and more in this field, this is the standard we have to achieve. So if you're not making it, if it's tough, that's okay. That's what class is for. That's what these sessions are for. That's what review materials for. That's what your peers are for. That's what I'm here for, is to help and strengthen you and reinforce that steel that is your mind. But as a standard, if you want that income, this is the level that we are going to now, because we are getting into butterfly effect 2 material. So this is where I expect more from everybody.
This candle right here, 50. When I saw this starting to hold this move, and even just this ladder right here, it's kind of obvious it's going to break the trend. So that was my long right here, because I was pretty stout on keeping a short on this. But when I see this range holding and developing like this, even find the break of the move. Where's the There's not even really a break of a move. You can say it's here. You'd have to get underneath that to break the move. I don't even think there's a break in this move. No, there's not. This is like the only one. Like it's just developing ladders up with no.
You guys and girls know that famous clip of me where I said, let it create the 4 hour and then let it dump. Like that was onset. And if you were in that session, that was onset by a whole bunch of stuff that we're talking about today. So there's a lot of people from this group right now who are in that session when I did that live. And I had been going through all this stuff in my head in that session. And then, there's that clip where I said, create the 4 hour and let it dump, right? And so you got into the 4 hour before it even got created. These are some of those blocks that build that. So it's not, that's a good example. And then the whole entire market flipped on its head, and the whole thing, like we officially entered a bear market. And that was the moment that, crypto was like reversal, right? But it's seeable before for sure. Like it's there, right? Of course it's there. I would have to be the luckiest person. Like I am Irish. So let me tell you something about luck with the Irish people. We are really lucky people. I have had good luck all my life, but this is not luck. Okay, there's no luck in day trading. So, that's important to realize. It's not just some lucky moment that continuously reoccurs. And I'm like secretly a leprechaun of like, it's there, it's seeable. It's visceral. It's on your screen. So anybody who remembers me saying that, or that famous clip of me, whatever, that's where it comes from, is some of these pieces right here. Right. So.
Ranges above it. Like the polarized moment in this trade was back here, way the hell back here at 96.85. Like take all this crap away. The polarized moment's back here. This is the short. When this short fails, it's a long. And that's simply first seen like this. And then you could have arrayed it to here. But again, at that point, you're just fighting for exit.
Yeah.
So you didn't wait until the 96.85 level is like confirmed breaking?
No, I saw it. You can tell. You can tell it's not holding its. You can tell it's holding its range and about to break. You can tell when something's developing a range. Like even if you were to go to like a 5-minute chart and use like whatever levels are in here, you can see it's holding a range. The dead giveaway is this. The dead giveaway is that this isn't laddering the move anymore. Like forget all this other stuff here. You have a trend, right? And we can delete this because we know this is polarity. So we can just delete this. That's fine. The dead giveaway here is when you're in this trade like this, and you can see this trend starting to break like this, and the move holding, because like again, like a hold level is just going to hold the move through its trend and continue to move up. Like you could have maybe said something like, but like your trend is breaking, so you're already moving up. So there's no recourse for staying in this short. Like there's just no point, because you can see it's already breaking the trend, so it's going to take a move up, and it does to its next range, which is considerably here. That means this is gone. So even if I was in this, then I would be saying, okay, well, everything inside of here is tested, so can no longer be inside of there anywhere. So now I'm right here, right? Like this has to hold. Like this has to hold. There's nothing left. It's polarized already. So this has to hold. So when I see this, like look at how big the range back here that's holding it, right? Like look at the range. Like even go to like a 3-minute chart, like that's like clear as day. Like backside holding it through a trend. Trend is designed to hold a move. Yeah, that's like as clear as day. So you can just see the inevitable coming back down here. Like you can see this range breaking when this move starts to hold, and you've got tested hold levels already.
Right, when you were saying dead giveaway here, was I confused myself. When you said that failed to ladder the move, you meant because it didn't really break this local move, is it? The rejection of that.
So this does ladder the move.
You said it, yeah.
So this does ladder the move. It's perfect re-entry. It's why I have another right here, this 96, and it was like literally perfect re-entry. It was great. It was fantastic. It's like, okay, this can ladder the move down. I've already taken my first round of profits. This can ladder the move down. Now you've got this here, and let's delete all of this because there's too much on the screen. Really once you see like look at it as a shape right now. Like look at this as almost like a shape. Like we're gonna take the magnet tool off to do this. Like you've got a trend against the base of the move. Like almost look at it like a shape, right? Like look at this is what can like hold or break. Like this baseline here, whatever this is testing from wherever it is, whether it's an origin point here, right? Whether this is like the origin break on a different time frame, okay. There's a hold level like here. Now this, it wouldn't be like that. It wouldn't be like a backside trend because that's what you're admitting here. You're saying this is a backside trend, but rather look at the shape because this could be maybe like a 3-minute break level, which is an origin leg of the move. So if you hard close that, you lose the move. Or this could be a hold level on a time frame we aren't using under the 1 minute. There could be like a 30-second hold level, which happens sometimes. But again, I'm not making decisions on those levels. 1 minute is about as deep as I go. And you see this is holding and it's about to break a trend after this has already laddered it. You need to get out of this trade and say, okay, if I am going to re-enter, I re-enter here or even here. And what is that testing? This is already testing something else here. So maybe you can justify it here. Maybe you could even justify a re-entry here. I would even be okay with saying, okay, justifiable re-entry here. But like at that point, you're starting to hold your range. So now your range is like this. Now you're starting to try to hold something like this, right? Like that's your adapted trend. And when you see this happen and you're no longer holding that level and you start to break over this, like there are no hold levels left in this. There is nothing. Whatever is being held on the bottom here, like, okay, you're like this. Whatever this baseline is creating is starting to develop the break of the range because all you're doing is cycling this move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Whatever this base is the 1. This is the 2 to create the 3 here, which gives you your cycle. Whatever this is here. And then, at that point, the move is already so polarized that you're in a moment where it's like, okay, you've hard closed the last hold level. This point, holding over top of this is hard closing a higher time frame. So for whatever thing you're doing here, you could go here and be like, oh shit, we just hard closed a 3. Uh-oh, 5 minute also hard closed. That's probably going to hard close a 15, right? So like you can see this is how you look at a range when you have this is the base of the move, right? If it kind of can't go below this point because it needs to do the same thing. If this one here indeed was the final hold level, it still has to close it on the higher time frames. This is not enough to close it. And when you start breaking up the range, like if you had these candles like this down here, you can say, yeah, the short is executing. But you're not closing anything on a higher time frame here. No, regardless of this hold level or if this is the base of the range right here. You could even say like possibly this is like the base of the range. And I wouldn't get too trigger happy on saying things like the base of the range, rather use it as visual aid. Like you could even use this and say, okay, fine, this is like the base of the range here. Like this, like fine, that's the base of the range here. So something like this that has been tested in the past. Hell, you could even go up to this candle point here, back here. So you could even just say like, okay, that's the base of the range. This is the base of the range. Regardless, there's some kind of base of this range that's even like, fine, like this. It doesn't change the fact, and like this, it doesn't change the fact that you're not really closing anything. So you're holding the range. And not only are you holding the range, you're starting to ladder off other pieces and break trends up. Right. So like getting out here is just getting out early before the inevitable is happening because the base of the range is holding and it only has to hold for so long before it breaks its trend. So at 950, when I see this like when I see this here happening and it's like, oh, look, the base of this range is holding. It's just a matter of time now. The base of this range is holding. It's just a matter of time before this thing just continues to hold. I might have got out a little too early, but I was pretty confident that this thing, like I got out right here. I was pretty confident that this thing was breaking. Also, there's a little thing like this here that was about to break right there. So at 950, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, okay, it's about to open over this little tiny interior trend. I think it's got to break something somewhere. But really, if the base of this range is holding on this side and you're testing up, go over that trend. These are hard closes over polarity on a higher time frame. This is not. There's nothing here, right? And even still, then you've just got ladder points. But that's not really what you're paying attention to. What you're paying attention to is like the base of this range right here. You can see there's nothing. You see the difference right on your screen. It's very visceral. It's very easy to see like, oh, this is hard closing over a bigger level. This is not, right? So when you start to hold this range, that's what I mean by like the inevitable is coming. You're holding the range and the base is holding, which means it's developing another microcycle up, which is just gapped right up to our level wherever you justify it. So the short exists up until kind of this point, and there's no, like, you'll notice there's no real reason to re-enter. I never took a second trade here, because when you start to develop this range, you've got to say, okay, we have to see if polarity breaks or not, because at that point you're really looking to see if this level can hold or not. You're really looking to see if this can hold. I never took a second or a third trade here because at that point you're starting to develop another cycle. You're starting to already break your cycle up, right? There's no call for a re-entry here. You've already entered this. It's already tested and broken. You can't even re-enter this. At best, you could have re-entered this, maybe. But when the base of the range is holding like that, that's why I don't take another trade, because this should pull it back and it should develop some kind of trend here. It should develop some kind of reasonable break of this. It should develop some kind of reasonable break of this line right here. It can't develop an upper range like this, like this thick blue line. It cannot develop a range like this because this is just a microcycle, right? So it can't develop that. And that's why it's inevitable when you have the base of a range like that holding against a trend, because all you're doing is microcycling. And then you just break over this and the move is gone for obvious reasons. The move is gone. This is really
I think this is a lot of the stuff we've already been going over today.
No matter which way you
not
justify
commenting
it,
too much because it's kind of just walking through the move.
Sure, use a 1 minute here or use an interior trend like this. Yeah, it's just breaking the move down, right? There it is, right? Developing the range over interior trends. It's like the same thing that's happening here. There's a base of a range here and it's using trend to break it. There's a base of a range here and it's using trend to break it. And like this base comes off of this, right? It's your hold level, right? And then this base comes off of, oops, wrong one. This base comes off of this, right? Which is, kind of right here. Like it's just developing the bases of ranges.
You got in a lot earlier.
Yeah, like down here.
So did you buy off a hold level?
No, I just saw the base of the range developing and a trend about to break. Just like I showed you, there's like a little 1 minute trend here. Really, the key here is the base of the range. Like this right here. When you're developing a cycle, it's going to be off some type of hold level. So you're going to create a base. And unless you start getting below that base, you're going to dump, as opposed to starting a microcycle up like that, and then breaking over the polarity and moving up and developing a new base like this, right? Same thing. And then you're just going to break through that trend, go up, break through this trend, create this trend, go up. And then, this was all back to like 97, 85, where that was the final level. And everything above that is just like you're already, it's polarized, right? Like this purple one here. I suppose whatever this was holding, it probably tried to test that again to see if it could hold the move down long term. Yeah, right there. There's probably a hold level off that, like a 1 minute hold level or some kind of weird thing like that. This one right here, it could try to hold this like the final hold, but I wouldn't be making any trading decisions here. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Boy, that's a lot of brush strokes. Hold on. Delete those. Even that is like hard closing over. That's a lot of garbage on the screen. Holy Hannah. Those ones aren't useful. This is what's useful. Base of the range, breaking through trends. Because whatever this is holding, whatever it is, so we don't even have to look in the past to see what it is. We know it's just developing a base of our range. Hell, even just do this. Flip it over and find the break.
I think when we talk about developing the base of a range there and using that as a justification to enter a long from flipping a short to a long, like what I had done in this trade where I took the short and flipped it to a long, I think you have your kind of emergency button. And if you're Like it all falls under the same umbrella. Like you develop a base of a range, you have that emergency button, which we developed. If that's holding, even if it's not testing, that emergency button can also be like that same thing, which I think is just obvious at this point. But that emergency button, you know, if you're not back testing it, you're going to be moving up because you're dictating the part of the move that has to hold the polarity on the bottom side, right?
Level. Where's the break level? Yeah, the break is right here, but this is already back testing something else. So where's the actual? You might need a deeper time frame to see it. There's this here, but that's not what it is, because whatever this is testing back here. I mean, this is not something I would advise you guys doing, but it's just, you know, if you want to find the base of a range, it's just a different way to see it. And there might be something on the 5 or whatever. Nothing there. The 3 minute, no, nothing there. Just to point out, like it could be like an origin level, right? Like the leg of a move. You could use this, you could use this, like just to see the base of the range a bit easier. Again, not a technique that I do, but just to kind of prove the point that that's the break of the move, right? Like even if you use this is the break of the move. It's falling outside of the range on that side, and it's holding its move. It's the difference between hard closing in one time frame or another. I like this as a second entry. It's why I took it. But once this is happening against this, you're just cycling up. You're going to start to break polarity when that happens.
Like when you explain it, it makes perfect sense. But I see that it happens so often, and it just, it will hard close but not actually make a move. Say, for instance, all the stuff that sort of happened before that for the last couple of days, it very much seems to be holding a hold level down. But then, of course, at some stage it does break that up. Is there any way we, have an indication whether it's actually going to hold its?
So what I would, what I would do is I would be looking at my ranges, right? Like I would be like this. I would say, okay, start here. Like let's start here. Whatever this is, we can work the range down from this. Like start high time frame, and we can work this range down and say, okay, well, yeah, okay, here's the level right here. Okay, that's tested, right? So we know if we get above this level, whatever range this is, we know. So we're instantly going to go to the 30 because we know where the next piece of this is. So when we get over this, we know. So we're going to talk about this moment, past couple of days. So June 1st. So we'll talk about before this, because this is pretty clear cut, because this level just moves to right here. So that's pretty clear cut. Like we just dissected that, right? So are we talking about between this point and this point, or from this back? You're talking about from this purple line forward, right? Like right here forward in time?
Sorry, I was muted. Like you can see below the green line, that looks like it's trying to hold that level there, and in theory would have made a move down.
You're talking about all of this space. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So
below the green line.
So then when we are looking at this.
I got it.
There we go. No, now I'm on the annotate tool. 1 second. So when we're looking at this is the untested range. This is tested, can't use it. This range is tested, can't use it. So we have to work from this moment forth, right? Like we have to work from here forward. So we have to say, okay, here's a range. If you break over that, you're going to this. Okay. And then the same thing on the opposite side, right? Like you'd be right here and say, okay, this is tested right here. So you should be then right here and finding the range inside of here, right? Like we're just going to mark the 30 minute, but anyways, finding the range inside of here. And once this is tested, then you're back down in this range here, right? So you're kind of in this moment where on the top side, you're saying like, let's mark all the levels. Well, we can't use this for sure. We know that. We can't use this. We know that. We can't use this because this is all tested. You can see that in the noise there. So you've got some kind of level between here and here. So that's the first piece we're going to look at. So then we would just take the replayer tool right here and say, okay, do we have anything on the 15? Nope. Do we have anything on the 5? Nope. 3? Yep. We have that, which is tested. Okay. So that kind of leaves.
Can jump over to our Bitcoin chart for a moment as it's testing the trend right now. Yeah, right. Exactly kind of what we thought would happen. It probably tested this, right? Yeah, test that, moves up, tries to hold its move. Now it's trying to hold above trend. No reason to lose your shirt over a short yet. No reason to lose your shirt over your shorts. 1% trade. And if you had taken this, even though the setup's not there, I think this is like a, a good spot to exit if you develop this level, if you develop that level. If not, it will move down, right? So let's see what it does. But yeah, it like perfect, exactly how we thought it would be. Just kind of bounces between this and can do so for the rest of the day. Find the setup. Don't trade it before that. Or if you do, like at least realize that if you had taken this, the setup's not there. Look to exit relatively soon if this, develops its trade right here, because you are close to the bottom of the move. I don't know how much lower you could go. You've got this here, so you can go a little bit lower, I suppose. But yeah, if you hold this, you get out. If not, you just stay in. Very straightforward.
Leaves us right here. That's kind of untested. So actually what I'd like to do is make this thinner first off, because it's way too big. And I would say, okay, that's kind of untested. What about a 1 minute? Is there something pretty clear here? It's tested. It's tested. I like that 3 minute level. That 3 minute level is pretty clear and untested. So something like that is pretty good. There's just a candle that goes straight through it. Doesn't really come back and test it. So this is the greediest part of this range. So we can just delete this level because this is already testing something in the past. So once we come from here, we're going to gap from this to this, right? Like that's your kind of final level. You can see there's no test of it here. So that's your final level here. So we can just hit play and kind of see, right? Like this would be that next part of the range. Even here, you might have something here, but really that encompasses the one range test. Like this is the range right here. That's the range. This is the greediest point. Like where are you taking your trade? On the greediest points or on this point? Me personally, I'm taking them on the greediest point, right? And you let this play forward a bit, and maybe we'll go to a 15-minute time frame. There's no range developed there. You have a range right here. So then you can kind of, we'll leave both of those just to kind of see like, okay, there's like a smaller range right here. So then you can go here and say, okay, that's tested, can't be that, can't be that, can't be this, and forth. This is kind of that range right there, that if it breaks over that, it's going to go somewhere like right here. So then we can even dissect this even further and say, yeah, there's nothing really there. Obviously it's not that, can't be that, that's tested, can't be this is tested. 2 parts of this range too now. Okay, fine, we can use that. But let's still continue working with this. It's like, is there a 1 minute piece of this, right? Like, okay, well, so we have this right here. That's again part of that range, so we can't use it. So now we're here. That range is tested. That's tested. That's tested. Yeah, this one's not. But when we look at the entirety of the range, it's not really that great of a spot, is it? 95, 65. So I would consider this maybe something that could bounce. But on a higher time frame, it kind of just looks like a piece of this range right here. So really thin level, decent, really good greedy level. Like if you put an order here, you're pretty much pulling back. And if it gets filled, great. Maybe it stops here. But again, the thinness, it arrays out, right? So we can kind of just move this forward. And this is already tested now. So this is kind of that moment where it's like, okay, that was the untested level. You break over that, you should be going to a relative range above, right?
Looks like this move
There's
might
no
be
other
trying
real
to
ranges
develop.
developed here. Level on the bottom gets hit, whatever this is, or this, this right here gets hit perfectly fine.
Needs to get over this, right?
Yeah, so you do pull back off this. Again, how good is it versus this level?
Looks like it's
I
trying
would
to
take
develop.
less profits on something like this. And maybe just to here. Maybe. I would be surprised actually if it comes down this level. I don't know if I'd be surprised, but I don't know if I'd also hold that. I would be very cautious to break above this level. That's just
Really the key here is you're looking for the development to get out of the short.
Here, but I'd be very cautious.
So once this develops, then you just simply get out of the short.
There and test.
That's really the key about this trade here.
So when you're given a choice of levels and what can happen, again, think of thinness. Like if the range is all the way up here, where's the greediest level versus the first untested, right? So like this is the first untested level. So if this should pretty much gap the move to the top of its range, right? Like you should be something like this, right? Like you break over this, you're pretty much going to go to the top of the range, which then gives you a level inside of this range here, right? Just move forward a little bit here. That's fine. Then you can, repeat that cycle. And then, where's the range off here? Do you even have a level? Well, we have something right here, which is tested there. So we can't use that. And then this is tested here on the higher time frame range, but this one is not bad. This is okay here. But again, where are you buying in this range or are you buying in this range, right? Because
I think this is a smart way to look at triggers too. Like you're in a trade, how do you trigger out? You trigger out when the move develops, right? Like you would still be in this until you have a reason to get out. You know, and you're just moving this down. Well, it's still trying to develop its move. So you trigger out of the trade once the move develops. And if there's nothing developing the move, you just simply stay in the trade, right? Now you're here, laddered off the move. You could have taken a target exit there, or you could still be in this just looking to trigger. Yeah, just the 1 minute hold. Just needs to create something to hold trend so it doesn't lose it on like a bigger time frame here. That's all. It's trying to lose trend on a bigger time frame. It hasn't lost it on the 5 yet, so this is, you know, getting close. But yeah, it's trying to develop its move so it doesn't lose its trend, which yeah, and then when it develops its move, that can be your trigger exit on the trade, right? It's not there yet. You know, it can still fall down. It can still ladder off the leg, which is right here. But like I said, it looks like it's trying to develop its move, and now it's just holding over the 15. So you'd use that as a trigger exit, right? Like the move develops, and you know, if it starts closing over top of this trend and holding over it, or even back testing this 1 minute as a target exit, like you could have your exit as a target on the hold level now. Like you could exit your short as the buy on the hold.
If this is a tested level, we know it's polarized, so we have to find the next moment here. Okay, that's not bad. What about the 1 minute?
Exit right there kind of thing. Yeah, you can exit target right there.
This goes over top of this. This is already broken, right? So you're basically range dissecting this thing, and there it is right there.
It's just dumping. Wow.
You know, front run a little bit. 87 to 91 hits this instead. Regardless, it's still the same piece of the range. That should. This is now no longer there. There's no ranges above this. So if we break above this level, where are you? You're right there, right? Maybe let's go to a different time frame. I don't think a 1 minute is very, very good here. And then you'd be doing the same thing. Like there's a range right here. So once you break, you see what I mean. But once you break this range, and this is going to trail through as well. Like that's the test there. So then this would have its own independent range, right? Like this would have nothing on the 5 clearly. That's tested. You know, nothing below that. This is tested. There's nothing there. Let's see the 1 minute.
Like I said, it looks like it's trying to develop a move here.
Your range is actually moving forward in time.
Is what I mean by develop a move. So yeah, target exit would have been fine here.
Get this range here. Let's go to a 5 minute.
It might break down, but
so then you'd be something like
looks like a good scalp.
This, right? Like that's just the next point, and even there you'd be deeper inside of this range right here somewhere, right?
Better
but
to
again,
limit out
if this is the top of the range,
close.
how thin is the move, right? So then, you know, we can kind of delete that because we don't really want that. This would gap me again. We're going to delete this temporarily. This one would gap me.
3 minute reverse is what it hit. Nice,
right?
Yeah, I hadn't really looked at the move.
This
I just
level
marked
here
the next level.
should be an area where you short. But again, when you're looking at these ranges being broken, let's see what happens here.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like it broke. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's deeper level
Once
on the
that's
chart.
happening, hard closing that time frame, like I would just be the hell out of this move because there's
so there'd be no
left
exit here then yet because I can hit that 3 minute reverse and ladder.
Now this is just testing another hold level, but when you are looking at
see if that 3 minute can develop the support of holding that trend and not losing it, right? Like
whatever this hold level was here to this right here, you're just getting back.
Floating hold level is huge.
Where this is the greediest part of the range, so like you should be setting a short there. Just like you should have been setting.
If this holds on and develops, then it flies back up,
right? But then when you're starting to break over top of the ranges like this, and there's no untested levels, like you're just going to move up and
now you have if this holds for the next 4 minutes, now you have this here. Like you can already move it right there. You don't need to know this 15 minute.
Not shorts because you're just breaking the range, right? So
just mark both, but this one will delete very soon.
So you say like where do you see this move breaking down? This guy right here was tested. This guy here is tested. Whatever, this is testing the same thing, but it leads you to this moment here, right? Like it leads you to this right here. It leads you to this right here. Like you're already starting to break that up and over. Like there's no untested, like you shouldn't be shorting anything above this because there's nothing left. The next untested level is gapped here. So if this breaks, you shouldn't be looking to do any shorts, right? You have no untested levels. Like that's, there's nothing left. Maybe you have something off of this, whatever this was holding from back here. I don't know, I guess we could find that level. Yeah, like this right here.
There's got to be an origin or something here somewhere, right? Like where's the 2 candle valley? That's what I was looking for before.
Greedier? Yeah, there is. So this is like the last point of no return. Like once you start breaking over this, like your move is gone. Like you should be no longer shorting after this, because you're just gapping straight up to that level. Like you're just going straight to this level, and then it's the same thing. Like there's no so when you
Potential origin
go
here.
out in time frames and you're looking at this, like you can see the
Get
trail
the
of
origin
where
bounce
the
above
untested
trend.
levels are.
You didn't create the hourly yet, did you?
Delete these
Nope.
2 brush strokes here.
Haven't created it yet.
You know, here, for example, which leads you to here, which leads you to.
I think that's fine anyways for this lesson. Three-minute reverse. Oh, okay. So it's a 3-minute as well, right here. Is there anything else that I missed? 5-minute can't be a 5-minute. 15? No, and it wouldn't be an hourly either. No. Can still hit 210. Can actually go below 210. Yeah, that's the same one as that 1 minute. I found it on the 1 minute. It's like the same spot. Origin right there. When is that hourly getting created? That's what I want to know. Well, it looks like right now, right? We're close. 18 seconds. Who was that ever close? Doesn't hit it though. $10 away. 3-minute reverse, origin level, final parts of the move. Yep. Is there a way you skew better bet for a pump and a dump? Ask me tomorrow. My brain is fried right now, Kenny. I don't understand the question. You always look for the greediest points. Maybe that's the answer. Like the origins, reverse levels, ladder points. Okay, good. We just created the hourly. Nice. We have an hourly trend. You can get rid of this. Created the hourly. Good. I don't think there's a 4-hour, is there? Oh, there is. You can have both in this scenario. I don't like having both, but you can. You can. I think more of the level is going to be more important than this 1 hour. Okay, that's it for me today. I'm out of here. I'd love to stay and chat, but my brain is fried, and we got to come back tomorrow and finish off this series. So.